it's worth noting these are basically my first impressions of the game, plus my experiences from the Sim Racing Expo. I have not played all the career yet, or in fact any of the career. I've not driven every car in the sim. These are just my initial impressions of this title. Stuff in this video might change at some point, but right now, this is how it is. Well guys, you know it's serious when Desk Jimmy comes out. Yeah, this game's not very good right now. At all. The game we're talking about is Project Motor Racing, something that has been, I think, widely anticipated by the sim racing community, and as of this date, today where I'm filming this, it's coming out tomorrow on the 25th. Hopefully when this video comes out, we'll see. And I finally had a proper chance to have my first drive in various different cars, and I thought it was definitely worth a video discussing why this game is, frankly, a bit of a mess. Before we get into that though, it's a Black Friday extravaganza pretty much everywhere right now, so if you're looking for some awesome deals on some Moser sim racing kit, or if you're looking for some GT Omega goodies, then both my affiliate links will be down below in the description. Now my experience with PMR, it started at the Sim Racing Expo. I was very fortunate to be invited along to have a little slot with the game. Myself and Steve, Super GT, went over and tried it out together. Now I'm not going to speak for Steve, he can do that himself, but it was probably about as bad of a first impression as I could have had of the game. The game crashed I think 3 or 4 times whilst I was testing it. The car that I picked out specifically to drive, which at the time was the Mustang GT4 car, I don't think the M4 GT4 was in the game, but I drove that car, couldn't keep it on the road, told by the developer that I couldn't drive the car, and then watched him make the same mistakes I did when he drove it as well. So something just wasn't right about the title. That plus performance issues plus vague force feedback and not really knowing what the car was doing at any point during my little preview, it left me pretty confused. Especially confused in fact because certain media outlets in sim racing had told us that the game felt good and it was really promising. I have to think they were playing a different version to the game than I was because guess we have the world's most stiff rear end on this thing. But of course this video isn't about that version, it's about the version that I got sent recently, again full disclosure, by the guys at Giants. They gave me a code to try out the game, and when I booted it up the first thing I noticed is the game didn't run very well. Now I have a ultra wide 4K monitor thing, and I first of all didn't expect to run the game in that full resolution because I'm recording, so you have to sort of narrow it down a little bit. So I put it into 2560 by 1440p, which is what I recorded a lot of my old videos in on my old monitor. It is a fairly common monitor resolution nowadays. This is, well, as a start, that's kind of undrivable. Now my PC's got a 4080 in it, and on ultra settings I couldn't get a smooth 30 FPS in game, which I think is appalling optimization for a game coming out, well, tomorrow. Once I put the game down to, I think it was the quality settings, it worked a bit better, but I still had stutters, especially when the game went into either the replay mode or when it did the sort of flyover at the start of each race. Every time it was really juddery. 30 FPS in the replay, especially as it loaded all the cars in, sometimes dropping down to less than 20 frames per second. And on the topic of graphics, I mean, graphics are one of those things that I think can be quite subjective. But for me, the game looks like it belongs 10 years ago. This is on the quality preset, by the way. This looks so dated. You know, I think Project Cars 2 looks better than this game at the moment. So I jumped into my first race. It was at Donington in a BMW M3 GTR. That's an awesome car. I love that car. First thing I noticed is it sounds pretty bad. It doesn't sound anything like the real car. The car in game sounded like this. And the real car sounds like this. As well as being forced to do a standing start, because from what I can tell, there are no rolling starts in the game. Not one that I can set up anyway. I guess you can't do rolling starts in this. Standing starts only. Okay, let's try and standing start a Group C car, of which of course the AI can get a perfect start every time, and you're automatically left about 5-6 car lengths behind before you even get down to the first corner. Good start. AI apparently have great traction off my line. Then when I catch the AI, I notice something. One, it stacks up pretty badly in tight corners, T1. I mean, you get a bit of that in real life racing, but not quite as severe as this. And they don't really acknowledge that you exist. So you'll be going side by side with one, with a racing line maybe crosses over to where you are on the circuit, and the AI will just drive into you. It doesn't seem, in my opinion, that they run on the same physics as the player does, which kind of sucks for a game that is centered around the single player experience. Now, as for the career mode, I haven't tried that, so I'm not going to give that any sort of mention in this video. This is purely about my first impressions driving the thing. But I can't see how it's going to be an enjoyable experience with AI that are like this. They also seem to have varying performance based on what circuit you're at. Now, my AI testing, admittedly, was done between 90 and 95, quite a small range on the percentage scale. But at 90, I found that I could easily pass them and drive them like I did when I drove my own BMW M4 GT4 Evo at the Nürburgring. I found that the AI were very, very slow. I ended up running to the back of them quite a lot because they were that slow. But then I tweaked the AI up to 95 and tried running a hypercar at Sebring, and admittedly I was not the fastest guy around there, but they were then 6 seconds a lap faster than me. I had no chance. What am I going to do about that? It doesn't feel like it's particularly been tested very well, if I'm completely honest. It feels like it feels pretty bad. But for me, the main concern of this game is how it drives, because I care about simulation. My favourite sim to drive at the moment is probably the original Assetto Corsa with some kick-ass mods from Race Sim Studio. Now, I'm aware that that doesn't mean that the OG Assetto Corsa is good out the box. It's had a lot of work by third parties to get it there. But the reason why I mention AC is because when I drive that, it's predictable, it's nuanced, I understand what the car is doing, and there's progressions to different grip levels and different parts of a circuit when you do different things. In PMR, it genuinely feels like there is no slip in the tyre. And what I mean by that is you either have complete 100% grip or you have nothing and the car is sliding and you can't do anything about it, you can't control it. And maybe it'd be better to say you either have traction or don't have traction. Now, admittedly, this isn't helped by the fact that the throttle model in this game seems to be broken or just incorrect. So I tried it out earlier. In fact, here's a clip of me trying out the throttle model. ABS as well being quite high. No ability mid-corner to get on throttle there. It feels like there's actually no power between like 35% or so. Like I'm on the throttle. Look, bottom left-hand corner, look at my throttle. Why aren't I moving? That's 75% throttle. And 80% I finally start moving forward. Let me demonstrate why this throttle model is a problem. Because it's encouraging you to really smash the throttle in every corner. And because the TC doesn't quite work like real life TC does, it keeps putting you in all these like very sketchy, slidey situations because you have to nail the throttle. There's no progression. Because there is no throttle up until about 75%. Why is that? Is that the same in every car? I was going to show you what happens to the throttle model here. So right, bottom left hand corner you can see my throttle input, okay? Half throttle. This is 75% throttle. 80%. 90%. Full throttle. So the throttle map needs work, is what I'm saying. Because it really drastically changes how the car works. As you can see, you basically just don't really move forward unless you're on 75% throttle. And let me tell you, that makes driving any sort of race car with no traction control, actually, you know what? It makes driving any sort of race car, even with traction control, very, very difficult, because you're either not putting any throttle into the corner and just sort of dying on exit, or you're nailing it and the car is all over the shot. And because you don't have any ability to have this like kind of nice nuanced slide or this nice moment where the car is sort of just on the edge of breaking traction, you just break traction straight away and the car is like and you can't get out of the corner quickly. It's impossible. Well, for me anyway. Maybe it's possible for you, but I just couldn't understand it. Also, things like auto blip don't seem to work properly. And I don't mean auto blip as in the assist, I mean auto blip that is standard in any modern GT car. So I was trying to shift down the gears in the M4 GT4 Evo. I would hit the downshift paddle and the whole car would do this and put me into a spin, which is not what happens in real life, because there's a blip of the throttle which matches the wheel speed up to the RPM you're at in the car. It's all done automatically by the ECU. It's just not done in PMR. It feels like in order to drive well, you have to underdrive the car significantly, far below how you would drive a car in reality or any other simulator. And I was told by the developers during my little hands-on at the Sim Racing Expo that this was a design choice, because they think people just throw cars into corners and then deal with it later. But that's kind of how you learn to race. I mean, like, you don't get to 80% of what the car's capable of and go, cool, that's enough for me. You try and find the 100%, but the 100% in PMR is far too low. There's no room for you to try and push a car. You have to just stroke it round.
Hey, yo!
Now, I know that I am not a sim racing physics guy, and I know that I'm not a professional racing driver, but I've been around sims for so long now and had the overwhelming privilege of driving a lot, I mean a lot now, of real life racing cars. This is so far off. It's so far away. Nothing makes sense. It feels like playing a upgraded version of Need for Speed Shift 2. The way the car shimmies around all the time and moves about. Like, even in a straight line, I was finding my force feedback, like, it would go past centre and then start pulling me to one side, or then putting me to the other side. Like, it was trying to simulate the car moving around at speed, which cars, they do that. It's like it's been turned up to like 11 in this. It looks like sloppy in the middle of the steering. It's like pulling to the left and right down the straight, randomly. Why is it pulling to the left and right on the straight? Like, it's got this like centre pivot that it can't be on. No, that's not what I mean. Like, as in the steering, it feels like it cannot be centred. It has to be like either slightly to left or right. I've never felt that on this wheel before. So whenever I make a video like this on like driving in a game, and I'm going to say a game like Project Cars, or a game like AMS2, or a game like this, where it's sort of not quite a full-blown simulation, or in this case not really anywhere close to a full-blown simulation, and people think it can be fixed by tuning your force feedback or by adjusting the car setup. Now, you can probably do these things and find a workaround to make the car feel a little bit less weird, but the problem is the physics. The underlying physics of the tyre and of the car don't seem to be correct. Talking about driving the M4 GT4, all the GT4s seem to have this weird thing where it's super leery at the rear of the car for some reason. And bear in mind, these cars in real life, even on baseline setups, are designed to be driven by idiots like me. By influencers, by rich businessmen, a stepping stone into faster stuff into GT3. They're meant to be friendly cars to drive. It feels like it wants to kill you at every corner. Making a car difficult doesn't mean it's more realistic. At all. No. Oh yeah, I also tried wet weather driving, and that made... It didn't make much sense to me. I mean, I could see that the track was kind of drying as cars went round it, and there was this racing line being developed, but it was literally just two tracks where every AI took the exact same line through there. So there is track development in that way, but it's not realistic, and you're just following the same line as the AI. But a great example of what's wrong with how the cars handle is like you go into a corner, crank on understeer, right? Now, this is like a karting trick. You do it in karting to keep the car in understeer and make it easy for you to get back on the throttle and avoid big oversteer or an exit. Now, I've used this trick in my little red Mazda, I've used this trick in the Praga, I've used this trick in the BMW M4 whenever I'm feeling a little bit nervous and trying to search for a little bit of grip. I thought I'd try it in Project Motor Racing in that Panos, and I went into a hairpin, cranked on the lock, and the car sort of started slide. It found grip enough to turn, and then it acted like a four-wheel drive car on exit where I'm on the throttle and it's like pushing the car out like this instead of just being a pivot, which is kind of what it would be in real life. And now I know a lot of this is just kind of rambling about, oh, this doesn't feel very good, but the problem is that it feels as if the developer is just relying on its user base to fix or report all these issues. The game is out tomorrow. Is it the actual like release version tomorrow? I'm pretty sure it is. It doesn't say early access, doesn't say any of that. It's coming out tomorrow. So it's the release version of the game, and it doesn't feel finished. It feels like it needs like another year, honestly, to get to a point where it would be actually competitive with stuff that's out there now. So I have a really tough time recommending this game to anyone because simply AMS2 exists. And it's in the same sort of area as this game is, but it does everything better. Infinitely better than this. Wet weather, the way the cars handle, albeit still not to my particular liking, but it's better than this. It's more predictable than this. And the thing is, right, you've got games coming out, albeit in early access, like Assetto Corsa Rally. These games I wouldn't say are directly comparable, but the reason why I mention it is because when that game sort of came into early access, you can notice that every car, every detail has had so much time spent on it to try and get it right. Is it perfect? No, definitely not. But you can tell the effort and love that's gone into it. I just don't feel that in PMR. That is a subjective viewpoint though. Maybe you guys have a different view of that, but for me, it just feels like a title from 2015. It's not pushing the boundaries, it's not doing anything new, it's just another sim title. Games like this keep sim racing from moving to a different level, a higher level. AC Rally moves the game forward. This puts it back into 2015, 2016. And it's a real shame. I know I've had a lot of criticisms of this title, but ultimately I want us to have as many high quality and realistic sim titles as possible because competition is a good thing. This doesn't feel like it fits anywhere at the moment. Now there is sort of like the overarching, oh, but there are going to be updates and it might be improved as time goes on, but this is the game as it stands now. And as it stands now, I have a really hard time recommending it to anyone, especially as it is £53 on Steam. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a game that... Oh my. So those are my thoughts on Project Motor Racing. Yeah, I'd say pretty negative, but this game is charging over £50 for the privilege of paying it. So we're going to give it good criticism, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to improve before it becomes worth, in my opinion, anywhere near that price. If you found the video informative or want to discuss any points that I brought up, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. As always, take care, have an awesome day. See you all next time.